So let's look at feminine communication, magnetism, how we can communicate to keep connection as opposed to creating disconnection.
And you taught us something very important, Coach, the compassionate break.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I had this as a tool before.
Yeah.
But it really came in handy nonetheless.
Yeah. Cheers to you. That's amazing. That's important.
Yeah. When you toast, you have to drink, otherwise you'll have 7 years of bad sex.
Oh my goodness, did you say?
I
7 years of bad sex?
Yeah.
Even 7 seconds is very painful.
So please drink.
Hello there, my sensuous family. I hope you've accepted the name and the circle. Well, hello there, my sensuous family. This yet again is Doreen Nyiramugisha, and I'm speaking for the Soft Power Project on Heal with Doreen. So we promised you that out of the perfection trap, we're going to break it down into 4. We've already talked about the hidden cost of perfectionism. And now I'll bring you into what perfectionism also robs us of, right? We said we are at a tipping place where we have realized that we want to get back into our softness. We want to get back into, like feeling enough. Not that we want to be passive, right? But we want to feel, we want to sense enoughness, and we want to be celebrated for our wholeness. But before we get there, let's look at the other aspect of perfectionism, which on the outside looks good, but actually it's creating a lot of disconnection. And that's when perfectionism hijacks our soft power or our voice. So let's look at feminine communication, magnetism, how we can communicate to keep connection as opposed to creating disconnection. Again, I'm with Chela. And I'm with Chela mostly because before this book, there's a book that we read called Atlas of the Heart. We use that book to reframe how we communicate sensation, emotion, and feeling. But it's not like if you didn't read that book, you won't understand. Today, we want to walk with you so you can see how perfectionism really hijacks our feminine voice and how it affects feminine communication. Because our voice is what creates the connection, keeps the people, or pushes the people away. Yeah. And so we will look at what's feminine communication, but also really what's magnetism. Why do we need it, and why do we need it for softness? Why do we think it's very important for the soft power project? And when we say soft power, we're trying to say, no, femininity doesn't mean being passive. For you to actually lend yourself into your femininity, it takes some sort of power, some energy, so you've seen that woman. She looks well poised. She has the pose. She speaks and the whole room gets to listen. She's good at sitting with discomfort. She doesn't burn bridges when she sets boundaries. You've seen her. Sometimes we call her the self-possessed woman. That woman has feminine magnetism. She doesn't shout. She doesn't control. She doesn't direct. She doesn't mother. She doesn't teach. Yet, she pulls people to her. I know you want to be that kind of woman. Yeah? Many times we fall, we iterate, but still we want to be that. We want our voice to be heard. And when I invited Chela to join me again on this one, listen, feminine communication is not about the voice alone.
Yeah.
We communicate with our body language. We communicate with the clothes that we choose, the hair. We communicate with the eye contact. We communicate with that silence, right? And we communicate with the energy. And honestly, I need you to agree with me or not, Chela has that energy. She's also agreed, before we got onto this, she said there's a time when she used to think because she's thin, she needs to shout. And then she never used to get the clients. Then she allowed herself to be, and then she learned how to persuade. And now she's possessive. And then indeed she's possessive. just her energy. So I'll delve into that again, connecting us to the first episode that we had, bringing it to feminine communication, and now talking about the thinking traps, really what hijacks us, what takes us into the negative. I could be communicating and I'm not communicating. You know, we think communication is just simply putting it out there, being clear, being, you know, hard, and then that's it. There's a friend once I told that marriage taught me what feminine communication actually is. Because I am a communicator. Yeah. I am a journalist. I've studied journalism. But then you can be a communicator and not be a feminine communicator. Because you could be talking and then he's not listening. Yeah. You know, how can you talk and he listens? You know, so I told her it's one thing, you know, to be able to be a communicator, and it's another thing to be able to magnetize. Yeah. Right? And when we look into femininity, we get to realize that when we heal from masculine communication, then get into feminine communication, then we soften, then things come to us, then we stop striving. Because the idea is that perfectionism makes us perform, it makes us, you know, act, it makes us strive, so it leaves doing energy in us. And guess what? Doing energy puts you under pressure. When it puts you under pressure, it means you're not able to receive. Magnetism, on the other hand, when you magnetize, you're already receiving. Yeah. Let's put these things into reality now. Because, you know, we could talk and then people are thinking, okay, you know, those people just have read things and then are they real? Let's put them into reality, bringing you back into communication. Before I can ask you about feminine communication, let me maybe explain the thinking traps that perfectionism leaves us in. Okay. Right? So you've heard about, and you know about, automatic negative thoughts. We get to talk about cognitive dissonance. Right? So when you're a perfectionist, because you've been trained to perform, to question yourself, and we say trained, conditioned, you know, society has put us in a place where we, like, there are standards that have been set that are almost hard to hit. So we are constantly performing, right? Yeah. Again, when we look at why we perform, I think I've talked about the fact that as human beings, when we are born, we have needs. We have emotional needs, we have social needs, psychological needs, right? Before going into the other elements, we have the need for safety, need for connection, we have a need for independence and autonomy, we have a need for dignity, we have a need for worthiness. When those needs are not met, when we don't feel fully nourished, we perform for them, right? Right. So then we keep second guessing ourselves, we keep questioning ourselves if we're enough. Because if we're not enough, then we keep on performing for them up until they affect our brain. Meaning, they affect your view of the world. So when something happens, your brain goes to think in a particular way. During the book review, we talked about the fact that most of us can be thinking we are positive people. Now, I'm a positive person. You know, I pray, I'm good. If something bad happens, I know how to pray about it. You know, some of us are into there's the spiritual movement where we talk about good vibes, you know, just meditate over it. Just, you know,
manifest.
I just, you know, just align and then manifest, right? You know, so we say those things, but when I ask people to become mindful, when we enroll for the Hormone Reset program, we say for us to be able to soften and begin choosing ourselves so that we stop performing for love even when we are healing, let's begin with mindfulness. And so when we begin with mindfulness and people start journaling, I ask them, just at the end of the day, ask yourself, how do I feel? But what were my thoughts for the day? And most of us, when we think our thoughts, you get to remember, oh my goodness, I got envious, I got so scared, I catastrophized, I marginalized, I labored, I did. And then we say, so what are the negative thoughts? Then some people think, oh my goodness, I don't want to be called negative, yet I go to church. No, that's for people who don't pray. And so I tell them, thoughts can be anything, because thoughts just pass through us. Emotions can be anything, they pass through us. But when they stay, when they make you create a view of the world, then they can choose to stay as positive thoughts or negative thoughts. Yeah. So in 90 seconds, if you can tell that negative thoughts go through me. So it's normal, all of us get to think negative thoughts. What makes a person a negative person is when they ruminate, meaning, you know, like how the Bible says, don't let the sun set on it. That's what I use. Like, you are okay to stay with a negative thought for those hours, but when the sun sets on it, then you're going to start ruminating. So you won't sleep. You'll be only thinking about the negative thought, you know, and so you have those intrusive thoughts. Now then you become a negative person, right? So when a thought lingers and stays and it makes you start thinking negatively, that's when we can say now you're negative
person.
But then thoughts themselves are not supposed to be labeled negative or positive. They just pass through us. But then when you're able also to catch the thought and then reframe it, then we can say you know how to process your thoughts to a positive end. Let me explain what that means. So there's some cognitive distortions that we find ourselves in. If we really are able to just pause a bit and listen to what's going on at the back of our minds, right? We have people who use an all or nothing attitude. They say, if I don't sound eloquent, then that was bad, right? So they have to over-organize what they're going to say, yeah? And then they stop their voice, or they're not able to express themselves if they don't think they're going to sound eloquent, right? Then there are those who use, like basically they mind read. So I look at you, and in my brain I'm thinking, she doesn't think I'm good enough, right? I don't think she thinks I'm good enough. Then I shrink my voice because of what I suspect you're thinking. Some people just go into mind reading, you know, like they read the room. What are people thinking? So they get anxious from just mind reading. Then there are other people who use emotional reasoning. Emotional reasoning is, if it's making me anxious, then it's a bad thing. I think that's a red flag. Then they say, if it gives me a knot in my stomach, then I think that's not a good thing for me to say. You know, then they go into fear and they don't let their voice come out, right? They shrink it, right? As opposed to looking at fear as growth. Because literally, fear is what, instead of looking, they look at fear as a red flag. But most of the times when we are beginning to talk, when you sense that discomfort in your body and you call it fear, it's actually a good thing. People who are magnetic sit with that discomfort and they know that's their place of growth, right? So they reframe fear to growth, as opposed to fear is a red flag. Meaning, if I didn't feel good about it, then that's not a good thing. And I could go deep into that, because based on our wounds, again, most of us have, our instincts are affected. Our intuition has been covered up by negative thinking, disillusionment, toxicity, poor eating, you know, that our intuitive voice is not able to come to the surface as fast enough. Instead, what we have is the fear that comes, and we call it intuition. Until you've healed, it may not be the intuition speaking, it may be fear speaking. So there's emotional reasoning, there's marginalizing, right? You make one mistake when you're talking, or one moment you probably screech, or one moment you hear your voice is not good and you just decide, I don't think I'm good. I'm not going to talk to people anymore. I'm not going to express myself. I'm not going to tell him what I feel. I'm not going to say what I feel. You know, I don't sound good when I say this. Yeah. So we use one bad scenario to think that we are not good enough. Then there's labeling, right? So we quick to label things, and I think I said this a lot. Like, your partner comes late for a date, and you label him. You say he doesn't keep time. He doesn't keep time. He doesn't prioritize my time. He doesn't value me, you know. And so next time, you just, in your mind, you just say he's a poor timekeeper. I don't think I want to date him. As opposed to saying, for 2 days, he has come late. It is today. The situation is different from the person, you know. So we label the person, we don't label the situation.
Yeah.
We use one situation to confirm to ourselves that this person won't be the one, right? And when we're going to talk to them, we actually say, you don't keep time. You don't value my time. You see, you takes us away from, I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel safe when you don't call to console, or when you don't come on time. I fear that I'm going to lose the connection, as opposed to, you don't keep time, so I didn't prioritize you as well, right? Then we have catastrophizing. One thing not well said, you just decide he won't choose me, he won't pick me, you know, I'm not the girl for it. Yeah. So those thinking traps create a nervous system tension, right?
Yeah.
So perfectionism comes and hijacks your voice. When it hijacks your voice, it hijacks your nervous system. So this is what happens. When your nervous system is hijacked,
Your voice and
great.
yeah.
Your throat, you speak from your throat.
Not your heart.
Not your heart.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When your nervous system is hijacked, now your body language is the stoic body language, or you're rigid, or you're stiff, or you don't look people in the eye, or you get distracted a lot, or you know, like your field is not inviting.
It's not magnetizing.
It's not magnetizing. Right? So when we shrink the voice, when we have cognitive distortions, when we let the mind linger a lot into the negative thinking space, we hijack the nervous system. And guess what? So we are not able to voice our desires.
I think when you say that, I remember the trap that I was in, the perfection trap that I was in before I moved into being a recovering self-oriented perfectionist, like we said in the first series. I think mine was catastrophizing.
Okay.
Yeah. And moving into what if it's not black and it's not white? Am I, you know, what is Doreen thinking? I would probably be in a room and I catastrophize and say, am I making sense? Why is she looking at me like I'm not making sense? And then I go blank. Because I feel I'm reading people's minds and it's probably not what is going on in their mind, right? So that actually came out also when we were reading this perfection trap, and even with the ladies in the last book review. And you taught us something very important, Coach, the compassionate break. Yeah, I wish I had this as a tool before, but it really came in handy nonetheless. So where you actually catch yourself in a thought, you let yourself feel the emotion, and you get to know what sensation it's giving you in your body, right? And when you do this over and over, you actually now let go of the cognitive distortions, as you've put it.
Messy means I'm failing. Instead of that, why not try say, messy means I'm in the middle of growing?
This is really for everyone. We often say, I must be everything to everyone. Please try say, I'm allowed to have limits, needs, and ages.
In your work or in your personal life, instead of saying, I can't rest until it's all done, try and say, rest is part of the process. I am not a machine.
Every time I get out of character, I always say, I hate how I handled that. Instead of saying that, I could try and say, that moment deserves curiosity, not punishment.
As parents, instead of saying, like telling a child, I should have known better, how about trying to say, I was doing the best I could with what I knew at the time?
Everybody fears to fall behind. And instead of saying, if I slow down, I will fall behind, why don't you try and say, going slower, let me stay connected to myself.
Instead of, I did not give 100%, I failed, try and say, showing up at 40% is still showing up. My enough is enough.
This is also for me and anyone that it speaks to. Instead of saying, I can't let anyone see the cracks, let's just say, my cracks are where our lights and truth live.
So instead of saying, I have to get this exactly right, try, I get to do this imperfectly and still be worthy of love. Imagine, no? It's the higher power.
Yeah, this one as well was for me. I know she chose it.
Imagine.
She's like Doreen said.
It's the mystic archetype.
Yeah. Okay, so this is pretty much to every entrepreneur and people who are always thinking of the next thing. So many of the times we're like, oh, I'm not producing enough. Oh, I'm not doing enough. Like, what's more, what's more? So instead of saying, I'm not doing enough, try say, my worth is not in what I produce.
And I don't know whether it would be the right time for me now to,
No, I want you first toast to that. You mastered the compassionate break.
Yeah.
Cheers to you. That's amazing. That's important.
Yeah. When you toast, you have to drink. Otherwise, you'll have 7 years of bad sex.
Oh my goodness. Did you say?
I
7
just
years
said
of
that.
bad sex?
Yeah.
Even 7 seconds is very painful.
So please drink.
To using our voices, to expressing our desires, our wants, and whether we are trembling, shaking, mourning, shivering, using the voice, letting the vagus nerve have a break, before you tell us the reframe.
Yeah.
I'm happy that you get that, because self-oriented perfectionists need to learn how to be compassionate with themselves.
Yes.
You said that you don't struggle with relationships because you see self-oriented perfectionists are empathetic. They use their hearts, and when they have boundaries, then they are magnetic. When they don't have boundaries, they are blocks. So when they have boundaries, they know I can give my heart, and if it doesn't turn out well, I have tools to take care of my heart, right? But when they are not healed, they instead have blocks because they use their hearts more. They're the ones who learned how to overtake care of others, become so compassionate to other people because they don't want to be rejected, right? They have a fear of rejection, a high fear of rejection. But when they are healed, then they don't have the blocks. When they're not healed, they have a block. They block their hearts, they block their vaginas, and then they're not able to experience orgasms. I know there's a part where we're going to talk about perfectionism and the orgasm gap, right? And still stringing it, back to that. So compassion is when they're able to stop themselves. So when you have cognitive distortions, they're not just thinking traps. I said they affect the nervous system, but what they live inside is a clenched you. They live a stiff you, and then they make you sound like you're directing. So your voice is directing, it's directional, it's controlling. Your voice is teaching, your voice is mothering. Your voice is not receptive. Your voice is not magnetic. Your voice is not steady. It's not steady, but mostly it's not persuasive. It's not bringing in.
Maybe I can just share something small in regard to the voice.
Sure, go on.
Yeah, as you were saying that, I just remembered when you started the podcast, you mentioned a story I shared with you on how I used to think, because I'm small and tiny, when I'm communicating and talking, it's not being received. So in my profession, in my career, what I would do, I would increase the volume. I would raise my voice to get to a level where I feel it resonates with a big person. until I learned to move from the volume to the velvet.
Nice.
And the power and
Wait,
the realization.
Say it again. From
the volume to velvet.
How sweet.
Let me explain. Softness, it's not weakness.
Yeah.
And once I sat with that, things changed for me, especially in my work life, even in relationships. Because being soft, as you put it, it's being empathetic. It's leading with trust. It's being emotionally intelligent. It's being compassionate to self. And when you get to do this, you find yourself having a steady voice that doesn't have to literally be loud. And you'll find that even when you're in situations where other people raise their voices, a steady voice is always the strongest voice.
That's true.
And that's what I came to learn. So when I started using my voice, first of all, accepting and using it, being
without forcing it,
without forcing it to, go into volume. And I learned how to regulate myself. I found my relationships at work, in family, everywhere, just blossoming into very beautiful relationships. And
so you're able to still set your boundaries,
yes,
and people respect them,
yes,
and you're able to put up with the discomfort of others setting their boundaries, against you.
Actually, what I get now is most of like the people I mentor in the profession, the younger lawyers, they would ask me, how are you so soft yet so firm?
That's what we also asked you at the book club review.
Yes.
Because everyone was like, there's somebody who described you and said, what did she use? What did Janae use?
She said, you're very soft, but when you look at someone, you communicate.
Yeah, and then there's something, she used an analogy about you, and it was so apt, that's the thing, because you speak, and usually it's for you, it's your strongest ally is your voice.
Yeah.
So then, you have a mystery to you. People will see you, and then they are lured to you. They will come to you because you have a softness on the outside, right? And then when you need to express yourself, your voice is firm, your voice is grounded, your voice is clear, your voice is assertive. So your voice is not like scary. Your voice doesn't push people away. And that's a very beautiful aspect about you. Like, basically one of the most beautiful feminine aspects about you. You will tell us how you do that. You've given us one of the tips, but you can also share with the ladies, because you work in a high pressure environment. The kind of environment where most women have said, Doreen, when you work with men, you just can't bring your femininity around. And I think that's wrong. Because men, whether at work or at home, want to work with the feminine in their feminine. They want to see you more persuasive, more magnetic. And then most women believed that the volume is what gets them people to listen to them, And so they screeched, then they have veins, and then their faces have veins when they're communicating. And then they wonder why they don't actually get people to listen to them, because they have to keep on repeating themselves. So it's important when we get to see, when does the voice work for you, when it doesn't work for you, when does perfectionism work for you, when doesn't it work for you. When it affects the voice, then it's not working for you, right? When your voice can be able to express and lure in, then build magnetism, then it's working for you. Amazing. So when we look at what the cognitive distortions do, they create distress levels in the body. The distress levels are when people can say they use emotional reasoning again. So as long as the mind goes into their thinking traps, there's distress. So how do we remove the distress from the body? Using the reframes. Learning the art of taking compassionate breaks. Learning mindfulness. Learning when to notice when your thoughts are hijacking your experience. Because in the body is where communication starts from. We think we can just communicate from the throat. But when we can create safety in the body, then the voice comes out when it's magnetic, right? So at the book review, you taught ladies how to reframe the distortions.
Yeah.
Would you be kind enough to take us through them?
Sure, I would love to. So, imagine yourself on a very tough day, and you end up telling yourself, I'm not doing enough. Instead of telling this to yourself, why don't you try? I'm unlearning the lie that my worth is in what I produce.
Nice.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Instead of telling yourself, I have to get this exactly right. If it's not 100%, I'm failing. Why don't you be compassionate and reframe that thought and tell yourself, I get to do this imperfectly and I'll still be worthy of love. Yeah?
Nice.
If I don't give 100%, I have failed. And you beat yourself and you say, I have actually failed. Why don't you give yourself a compassionate break and say, I have given 40%. And you know what? That's enough. It is what I could give today. That's enough.
Amazing.
Instead of saying, I should have known better. Why did I respond like that? Why did I act like that? Why did I throw that glass at Doreen? Should have known better. Tell yourself, I was doing the best I could at that time with what I knew or with what I had. So don't beat yourself down and say, I could have done better. Okay? Instead of saying, I hate how I handled that situation. I really hate it. I even hate myself for that. Why don't you sit with yourself and tell yourself and reframe that thought and say, that moment deserves curiosity, not punishment.
Nice.
Yeah?
Yeah. Amazing. That takes us to what we said. How do we learn to sit in the gray using communication? Before you speak, you know?
Yeah.
What are some of the things, the rituals that you can use to take yourself in the gray? Before you catastrophize, before you marginalize, before you label, before you criticize, before you use a contemptuous tone, before before you see the black or white, you know, what's the gray, or how can we lend ourselves into the gray in communication? How can we, one, recognize that perfectionism is there? You know, maybe before we can even look at some of the other tips that we can share with the audience. I was sharing with a friend the other day, and I was telling her there's masculine communication and feminine communication, and it can be done by just one person. Just imagine we go to a restaurant and we're placing our orders, and the waitress or waiter comes to take our orders, and you have this menu. And you're saying, hi, please bring me, no, sorry, I will take it back. So you say, the waiter comes and says, are you ready to order? And then you're like, bring me a soda, please make sure, I'm still using the other one. I want to explore masculine communication. I still hijack myself and use feminine communication.
Let me try.
So you say, bring me a glass, bring me soda, make sure it's cold. What time, if I order for food, what time is the food going to come? 30 minutes. That's too much. Can the chef try to make sure that we have it in 15 minutes? Then can I have a salad? You know, like, she's placed an order and that's what she wants, right? Then there's the other one who says, today I feel so hungry. I feel like a juice fast, and please ask the chef if I can have my steak tender, and if not, I can order for something else. Kindly also, will you be able to ensure that we have, or we get to know what time that the meal is going to come, so we can be able to know what else to order for, right? Would you be able to tell which one is masculine?
Definitely. Definitely.
How would you be able to tell the difference?
The first one is speaking from her throat.
Yeah.
You notice you didn't even look up to say, hi, how are you? How is your day? because you'll pick these few things.
Yeah.
It's mechanical.
Yeah.
It's transactional.
It's directional.
It's directional.
It's more like controlling. Like you're controlling what time the food should come.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's directional.
Yeah.
The other one.
You're even giving you're giving her options. Like
Yeah.
if I don't get the steak, I can try something else.
Yeah, but what makes
Even
it
the
feminine?
tone, the voice, the tone,
The emotion.
the emotion, exactly.
I feel today, if feminine communication needs to start with I feel.
Yeah.
You know, when you can be able to say how you feel, the body feels like that you create more aliveness in the body. I feel so hungry. May I please have, then there's gratitude. When you can use kind words.
Yeah.
When may I please, kindly,
Yeah.
then that means you're already grateful. And that pulls the wait and waitress to making sure that they can actually come and serve you. The other one, he will come bring the menu and he will disappear. Right? So the difference between masculine communication and feminine communication is that while perfectionism makes you a control freak, because when you are control freak, you don't have the pause. You don't have that capacity to be able to wait it out, to use different breaths in between, right? And so you fix the outcome, you sabotage support, you know, you jump to conclusions very fast, you know, so you're more directional, you mother, you think you're being kind, so you mother the situation, while feminine communication makes you more grounded, because you say, I feel hungry. Today I asked you, Chila, can I bring you water or can I bring you kombucha? I feel, you said, I feel like a kombucha because you know what kombucha does for you, you know. So feminine communication needs to start with feeling.
Yeah.
That's how you can be able to change it. If you can speak from I feel and connect with your heart and bring some compassionate words in what you're going to say, then you don't have to shrink. Then you don't have to question whether you were eloquent enough. Then you don't have to question if they will love you or reject you. As long as in it there is compassion, as long as in it there's you saying I feel, then that way you're communicating from your feminine voice. Tell me, what are some of the tactics that you use to have the poise, the softness, and yet actually sound firm and grounded?
I use a lot of pauses.
Okay.
Yeah. And I also do listen to myself and be very intentional about the tone I take in my voice. And I regulate it and I regulate myself so that I don't come off as very dominating. I don't come off as like directional, as you put it. And I listen. I listen very deeply because people want to be seen, they want to feel heard. So before I even connect with you, either advise you for something that you need or even have a conversation with you, I'll listen to you very deeply and intently and make that connection first.
Okay.
So those are things that I intentionally do.
Lovely. Thank you for sharing them. We say them and then when we practice them, we can notice that there's some block. When we have been clenching and performing and having so much pressure in our body, you know, our breath also gets affected. Because your communication, we can tell if it's feminine or masculine based on how your breath rises and drops, right? And so already that's creating energy. We didn't talk about magnetism. Magnetism is when the energy about you is inviting. But what creates the magnetism in a woman, it's how she uses her breath, how she uses the pause, how she uses her tone. And so if the breath is not able to hit the womb, it actually will be dysregulated, right? So perfectionism creates numbness on the inside, that introspection now starts being hard. And that's why when we do breath work, some people's breath is here. So the idea of breath work is to train our vagus nerve to have that regularity, to be able to bounce us in and out, so that in discomfort, we are having a hard conversation, but we are sitting, and on the inside, we are able to sense that we are being co-creators. You know, because when you lend yourself to the discomfort, to the gray zone, you're actually pausing to ask, what if I'm not right? What if it's the other way, right? But if your vagus nerve doesn't let you, it can hijack you either into phoning, where you start people pleasing. So you say what's agreeable. You
just
say
end the
to just end the conversation. You just appease. You quickly say, okay, you know. Then you're not able to rupture and repair, you know, because the capacity to rupture and repair really takes emotional intelligence. The intelligence is, how is the breath moving up and about? If it's not able to hit the abdomen, for some women it only hits here, so it creates anxiety, distress levels, and they opt to shrink. So they freeze. Right? So the breath is one powerful thing that we can use to be able to opt out of perfectionism. Let's us retrain our voice to be able to come from the belly, not from that throat. One of them. I like what you said about listening. There's a lady from the Sensuous book layer that I really value so much because of how one trick, she knows how to mirror the conversation back to you and create that silence. So most people think that for you to be feminine, you have to keep quiet. No. Silence can actually be when you listen and you mirror to people back what you've had. She's called Damaris. You know, Damaris would be like, what I'm hearing you say, coach. Like her voice, like that's the sweetest sound that I remember about her. You will talk to her and then like she's like, what I'm hearing you say, coach. And you can tell she's mirroring you back just so she can create the silence, right? And that's one beautiful tool for learning how to get into your feminine or use your feminine voice. The other one is having voice initiations or rituals. Like before I go to talk to people, let me give you an example. Knowing, you know, Thomas also talks about perfectionism that is genetic. And I remember I talked to you guys about, remember when we talked about the blood group personality? So we said blood group O's mostly are prone to anger. So their nervous system state is in fight mode. So when they are talking, they don't pause. They don't listen intently. They hijack your story and use your, you know, like instead share their story. Or they're prone to anger, you know, or their energy is, you know, like too much, as opposed to being the kind, if they're not healed. And then we said blood type A's and B's. Blood type A's, their nervous system goes into flight mode. You know, they appease. They don't deal with the situation. They don't like the discomfort. They don't like to feel, right? Because feeling is not a good thing for them. So they instead go into flight, right? But that's where they now stay ruminating. They're the ones who will reheat your sins, you know, even after 2 years, they'll tell you, you did this and you were wearing this shirt and you were, you know, doing it like that, right? And then blood type B's go more into freeze mode. You know, they dissociate. They will be looking at you and they're not looking at you, like even the gaze will go the other side, or they will be like this, and then they are in a different world altogether. They have gone to Ibiza, they have gone to Lamu, but they're here, you know. So them, they dissociate. So their communication is, you dissociate a lot. You're not here, you know, if they're not healed, right? And so when I looked at blood type O's and how they communicate, I told them, for you to be able to use your, because blood type O's like to say that, but I expressed myself. I don't like to lie. I don't like to keep things. I don't like, their nervous system doesn't like to keep discomfort. They hit it back to you, you know. But then when we practice, because I'm an O, when we practice the pause, for the O, it's the pause, like before you can speak, pause. But I noticed it's not that easy, because mostly while B's, your blood type B, you produce more cortisol, O's produce more adrenaline. That makes them, you know, like act a bit very fast. So they need to manage or balance their adrenaline levels. What do they need to do? I tell blood type O's, if you don't move, the pause is not easy, because the nervous system is mostly in flight mode and doesn't come down as fast for you to be able to communicate well. Now, if for me, I don't go to the gym, that's it. I will communicate, but then You will feel like I was condescending. You will feel like I was a bit sharper or louder. And I can tell even when I'm talking to the kids, I can tell their body language, and I know, oh, I've not gone to the gym. So if I spend a month, for me the limit is a month. I may not go for a week, but if I spend a month, that's when now my voice starts coming from the throat as opposed to coming from the belly, right? That's when I'm not able to magnetize. Number 2, for me, it's cooking. Cooking just softens my voice. It's knowing that, you know, I can be like, I communicate more with food. If instead of using words, because I'm a talker, you know, I can end up just talking the whole evening. And one of the ways in which I talk without talking is cooking for you.
Yeah.
So most people think, oh my goodness, Doreen, like, where do you get the energy and the time to do this? It's actually a tool I use, because now when I'm cooking, I've said a million things. Because through my food, you will literally tell what I think about you and what I feel about you. But also through cooking, through cutting things and all that, my nervous system regulates. So I know it for a fact that when at least once a week I can cook, I will actually speak from a soft tone. When I go to the gym, when I do breath work, so for me it's movement. For you, what is your communication ritual? Like, what do you get to do before we speak?
I think I'm your twin when it comes to that.
Yeah?
Because movement and cooking.
Yeah.
You were talking, I'm like, huh? Did I give you my answers? Why is she saying what I do? Yeah. That's exactly, like, before I speak to you. Before I even came for this today, I had to move. I had to go to the gym. It's for me like my holy grail. I think I would rank that number 1. At times I get lost in it so much. Then I remember too much of it is also not so good.
That's good.
And cooking as well. Like, it's, for me, it's a labor of love. You will know if I cook for you, you will.
You've communicated.
I've communicated, to an extent. You'll come and say, please cook for me again. Please. Like, I'll even take time in the presentation.
That's true. That's me as well.
I'll tell you the ingredients. I'll look at you, savor it. I ask you, can you taste what I've put? So that even before I have a hard conversation with my partner, that
if you've
labor
cooked,
of love will go into.
Somehow it works on your voice.
I mean, there's a reason it's called soul food. If it doesn't come from here.
But it doesn't work like that for other people. To other people, it's labor.
If you cook bad food, I can tell this didn't come from.
That's true. Yeah, because, you know, so Kitambo, they, like, from my community, they would say, if a woman is angry, you will know through her food.
That is true.
You know, but for me, it really does regulate the talking, and it makes me talk in a different way. You know, I'm still communicating, but I'm communicating in a different way, as opposed to just using words, maybe even resting for a bit, right? So it's pausing. Remember to pause this week. Remember to anchor yourself in your body any way you can, either through the breath, either you do yoga or you go to the gym, but please anchor yourself in your body. Or do some cooking, you know, if that's what makes you or helps you anchor yourself into your body, because it starts from the body, you know, then it starts shaping your thinking and then shapes your worldview. Let's become women that don't soften to become passive, but soften to remember that our desires are worthy of being expressed, our wants are worthy of being expressed, our eroticism is worthy of being expressed, and that we express it in our voice, in our moans, in our, you know, the body language, in every way we are communicating our wants, our desires, and we are guiding the world on how we want to be loved. Any parting shot for us?
Movement is life.
Movement is life.
Movement is life.
Movement is your soft power.
It's your soft power.
For you.
For me, the more you spoke about it, that just came to my mind. Movement is life.
Oh, nice.
But for me, movement will make me come into my softness. And that softness will get me into magnetizing anything I want.
Now that you speak of
magnetizing. It's not even a hoax. Anything. Anything.
Nice. So that comes to brings us to the end of this wonderful and amazing episode. Just don't you think we are done? Because we're going to come and see and talk about, really, how does perfectionism make us emasculate the very same people we work so hard to attract? Perfectionists will mind their dress, their hair, that bag, the way they talk. They will curate the first date. But how do they end up emasculating the same people that they have attracted? How can we highlight the sneaky ways in which we emasculate men so that we can stop it and still put ourselves into that place of receiving love, receiving support, receiving praise, receiving, leadership? How can we put ourselves into that place where we are actually softened, but somebody is supporting us, not working for us? Because again, we're not saying that we pause and then people work for us. No. So the next episode, we're going to look into the sneaky ways in which perfectionism has made high-achieving women, has made high-performing women, has made perfectionists not have perfect relationships. I'll catch you again. This is the Soft Power Project on Heal with Doreen. And if you want to join the program, there's one. It's a 6 weeks program. We get to look into your type of perfectionism, your cognitive dissonance. We get to look into your body language. We get to enroll you for the hormone reset program so that you balance the hormones that keep your adrenaline high or your cortisol, high. And then we bring you to a place of softness. Would you like to join us? I think so. The Soft Power Project.